everyone. Welcome to GlideFast On Air. I'm Colleen Kelly, the marketing assistant at GlideFast Consulting, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Virtual Agent, the future of customer support is conversational. Before we dive in, we'd like to give you some background info on GlideFast. GlideFast is a consulting firm that is dedicated exclusively to ServiceNow. As an Elite ServiceNow Partner, our expert team of developers and architects have worked on both sides of the table, the customer side and the consulting side. Our company was founded by ServiceNow architects, and we're proud to have a team of over 100 experienced consultants, an average CSAT score of 4.8 out of 5, and more accolades as you can see here. As a perk of attending today, we'll be giving away a $50 Visa gift card. We'll announce the winner at the end of the session, so be sure to stay on for the whole webinar. I'm very excited to hand things over to our presenters, David Arbor, a service delivery manager at GlideFast, and Matt Dumont, an architect at GlideFast. We'll be watching the Q&A throughout today's session, so be sure to send in any questions as they arise, and we'll do our best to answer them. David and Matt, you can take it from here.
Great. Thanks, Colleen. Appreciate it. Yeah, so let's talk about the agenda first. I think this is going to be a really exciting webinar. Virtual agent, right? So agenda is we're going to cover one, the overview. So what the actual the virtual agent is and how it can help you. Two is components. We're going to talk about what components make up the virtual agent, which is always changing, by the way. And then we're going to talk about capabilities. So what can that virtual agent actually do for you? Then we're going to give a pretty extensive demo where we're going to show you a virtual agent in action. We're also going to show you some agent workspace pieces and how the fulfiller UI and the agent workspace UI work differently for different users, for different personas. So that's going to be a good demo. Then we'll take some questions and answers at the end. Great. So let's start with overview. What is the virtual agent? And the virtual agent is a platform for providing user assistance through conversations. So the whole idea of virtual agent is to give your users a way to communicate with the system, basically, and it may be to go through some FAQs. It may be to automatically generate incidents. It may be to automatically generate requests. But the point of virtual agent is that it is a workflow. So based on things that the user selects or answers to during the process, then the flow is going to go a different path and present different options to that user. But in addition to that, there's also a handoff to a live agent that can occur as well. So you can take the virtual agent up to a certain point. If it doesn't answer the question that you need it to answer, you pass it on to a live agent just as if they were communicating with that service desk, verbally. Okay, so we'll talk about the components as well. So the first piece is the conversational interface, which is just the interface of how users interact with virtual agent. Right, so virtual agent in the fulfiller UI looks one way, it looks another way in the portal, and then it looks another way in the agent workspace. And you can actually take the interface as an iframe and put it into any site that you want to put it into, just by pulling it out as an iframe and adding it to your HTML. We'll speak about the designer briefly as well. So how you create those workflows that I talked about at the previous slide. And sort of what they look like and what the out-of-the-box pieces of a conversation look like. And then we'll talk about live agent support as well. The live agent support really is, so you hand it off as a piece of that designer in your workflow, or you can have the user select live agent from the beginning. So we'll show you all of that. And we'll actually play some role playing here with personas where Matt will be a user and I will be an agent working in the agent workspace, so you can see how that goes. Great. And then let's generally talk about capabilities. So there's a lot more capabilities in this, but this is just sort of a generalization. So it's there to handle common requests, and it enables users to get immediate help day or night. So even if you're not staffed, as long as it is a pathway that the user can get answers to in an automated fashion, so without passing to a live agent, then it's 24/7. So If it's something like FAQs, like I'm a new employee, how do I do this? They can come in here at any time of day or night and find those answers that they need. Some of the common tasks are, like I said, answering FAQs. So a frequently asked question, framework for you could be as big or small as you want it to be as an organization. We have one that we're going to show that we built that's just, it's a very small one, but sort of show you the flow of things. But the more you put in there, I mean, it's like a knowledge base, right? The more you put in there, the more you can divert a person to not necessarily need help from a live agent. Providing tutorial information. So, that may be one of the options that you give a user, is to come here and divert them to a tutorial as well. You can query and update records. So you can create incidents in an automated fashion. You can create requests in an automated fashion. You can update, specific thing. You can update CIs. Let's say somebody's communicating with it and something's broken. Let's, set this piece of hardware that this user has identified to in maintenance. So you can do all sorts of things like that. And then you can gather data such as attachments. So you may ask the user at some point to attach something. And then when it gets passed to a live agent at a later time, that live agent has all the information in the context that he or she needs to work on that case. And you can resolve multi-step problems. Okay. So again, general, these are things that you can do with virtual agent, but by no means are they limitations. Okay, I'll pass it on to Matt now, so you can talk a little bit about what we're going to do for the demo.
Thanks, David. All right, so we were presented with an interesting use case that I found kind of intriguing, which was a lot of times we hear about how do you stand up a virtual agent, what are the cool things a virtual agent can do, and there are quite a few of them, especially in terms of customer service and helping with that process. But what would it take to just stand up a simple live agent or a simple virtual agent and add on capabilities as you go? And that's something that we kind of wanted to delve into a little bit today with our demo, just to demonstrate. This setup took maybe the full work day to come up with. It's a pretty simple layout. It's going to start with an FAQ and some yes/no questions to help the user kind of navigate through certain question banks that might be able to answer whatever that user is there to inquire about. And then at the end of that process, they're always going to be offered the opportunity to say, no, my question wasn't answered. I'd like to keep looking, or maybe I need to talk to somebody in person. And this could be handled multiple ways. We chose to use Live Agent, which talk to your account rep, but from what I understand, Live Agent and Virtual Agent come as a package deal. So you could even add on the Live Agent piece without needing to do a whole lot of extra in terms of modules and what you own in the system. But then we also wanted to tack on the incident creation piece, because it's very smooth process. There's not a whole lot of resistance to just responding to the user very quickly, putting in an incident, letting them know what the details of the incident are. It's a very smooth transition to that piece of it. Obviously, to create an incident, you would have to own the ITSM module. But what we really wanted to show is that you could stand this up no matter what pieces of ServiceNow you own. You can stand something like this up very quickly and incorporate it into your customer service process, and then add in features as it becomes a reasonable endeavor. Like if you add ITSM or you set up your knowledge base, then you can add in new features. So we'll demonstrate some of those things, and then pretty much the world is your oyster at that point. You can add on whatever's interesting to you, add in problem, add in case management, all of those things without needing to necessarily do it all at once. And that's kind of where we want to go with this. So let me, without further ado, go ahead and open up my instance here. First off, I just wanted to, I'm gonna actually go back one step first. I wanted to show the designer. This can be a little bit overwhelming when you first get into virtual agent, when you see all the different topics available and what each one may give you to do. When you do it out of the box, you're just gonna have some setup topics and small talk topics. But you can actually go, for most of the modules that you own, you can go and add a plugin that will activate various topics for your plugin. In this case, we activated the ITSM one. And you see you get a lot of out-of-the-box functionality for creating change requests, creating incidents, all sorts of cool features that you don't even have to build out yourself. But for our purposes, we went ahead and created an FAQ and activated it. And then we are using some of the basic topics in addition to that. When you activate a topic, it's going to show up in a show me everything section at the beginning of the chat window, which I'll show you in a little bit. So what we did instead was we created an FAQ topic that kind of allows us to field questions up front before handing off to a live agent, and gives puts the power in the user's hands to sort of figure out what their question is and how they want to answer it, but then ultimately we'll guide them to a handoff if necessary and let them choose that. So I won't get into too much detail on this, but it's a really simple flow that we built. You can see it starts out with just the FAQ topics and gives a basic introduction to that, and that would show up in the show me everything section. So once they select FAQ, they get pushed through some various questions to narrow down what they're actually interested in answering. And then we've built these are really basic HTML pages, but they do support, if you dig into one, it does support HTML formatting. So you can actually go in and add more formatting, make it more pretty as it were, and make the response show up as an HTML page that has some style added to it. But for this purpose, we were just going to make it as simple as possible, answer the questions, and hopefully get to a point where we could solve their problems. And pull up the service portal over here.
We picked a very relevant subject too. It is on a polling station. Since we are.
Yes, we wanted to go for
time to vote.
Very relevant. Okay. So I'm going to log in as my ITIL user here and go to the service portal. I did also want to add, just as an aside to this, some other cool features that Virtual Agent offers, one of which is this is a sandbox Slack instance that I've set up, and I went through the process. It took me about 5 minutes to really set up the integration, and there's an out-of-the-box integration in ServiceNow with Slack. You see here I can just link to my ServiceNow account. If I log in, then I can start immediately communicating with the virtual agent that I have set up. Since I'm already logged in the browser, I don't even have to fill out any information. It's just going to ask me if that's the correct account. And because it's an account that doesn't have permission right now, it's not going to allow me. But if I log back out of here, this is what happens when you do it out of order. Okay, so if I log back into my system administrator account and I try this again, it's now linked to my account in Slack to the virtual agent. And when I go pull it up in the service portal, you'll see this is the same basic set of topics that would show up there as well. And I can select my topic just like I would there. And there's actually an interaction that's created between my sandbox here and the instance that is separate. Even if I did a different one through the service portal, they're considered different interactions, but it would actually log it as if I were interacting in ServiceNow service portal. And then in addition to that, you can actually add, as David mentioned, you can add the widget through an iframe to a website of your choice. So it doesn't actually have to be the ServiceNow service portal that you're interacting with the virtual agent. There's also an integration with Teams, and I've set that one up as well. It's about as simple as setting this one up. And you can track which accounts you have set up. It's a pretty handy little feature to add on, and it's something that as we're discussing this, those are the kinds of things that you don't have to have right away, but you can add them, and you can add them in multiple locations, and anywhere you add it, it's going to have the same set of rules for the user to interact. The other small feature I say small, but it's a pretty powerful feature that doesn't require a whole lot from you. But there's a feature called NLU, or natural language understanding. And that feature is essentially the AI that you can add on to virtual agent. And the NL, I won't get into that a whole lot today. We're basically using these keywords here to guide the user, and you can add a list of keywords. If the user types those in, it'll pull up the topic that they're interested in. But if you chose to add NLU, it would actually allow you to train the bot to understand the intents of what the user is asking. So if somebody types in, I want to do this, then by training the AI, you can teach it. If someone types, I want to do X, it's actually meaning pull up this topic. It really needs to respond with this answer. And that's a much more involved setup, but it can also be very useful for your, depending on what your needs are. So we're just going to start up our virtual agent conversation. And here's where I'm going to actually pass it off to David, and he's going to show the agent workspace.
Yeah. So yeah, let's pretend I'm an agent here, and I'm logged into ServiceNow. So I'm going to go to the agent workspace. So as soon as, so I set myself to available whenever I come in here as an agent, and Matt is going to start a conversation on his end that's going to go into a queue that as an agent working in the workspace here, it's going to show up in my queue as soon as Matt starts that conversation.
Actually, let me switch back over real quick and I'll show them the FAQ side of things. I had a show me everything option that showed up, and you can actually make it so that the topics are, all of the topics that you have active are listed in the show me everything. For our purposes, we didn't show things like live agent transfer because we actually wanted to start with the FAQ for the user. I also added this search knowledge base feature. This is just to demonstrate that as you add in, say, the ITSM module, if you add the knowledge management feature, then you can actually set up a search process where they can actually go in and type in keywords to find articles related to what they're interested in and pull up the full article. Since we wanted to show how simple it is even without ITSM to start, and then that these are things you can add on as you go, we built the very simple FAQ that we showed earlier. And all I have is a few options. I can say, for my case, I'm saying that I'm at a polling location and I happen to be in a booth that the actual voting machine malfunctioned. So I went on their website and I want to go find out if there's a way to resolve that issue. I think the closest to my topic is probably polling locations, so I select that. I get a couple of answers that are available through their most frequently asked questions. Apparently, damaged voting booths is not one of them. So I'm just going to click over here just to show what one of those results might look like. But when I click on it, I know location hours isn't really going to help me a whole lot. So I got some basic location hours. It did not answer my question. I'm going to tell the system, no, I need to continue. Do I want to transfer to live agent or return to the FAQ? Let me go see if there's anything else that might be relevant. Surely there's something under voter registration, right? Well, no, it doesn't seem to be. So none of the above apply. I've gone through my FAQ. This could be as extensive as you want. So you could have 20 questions that they have to go through. You could categorize them multiple different layers. As you saw, I kind of gave an upfront question to get a basic broad category. You could do that 2 or 3 different times. You just have to build all the branching into the flow. And then once I've determined that my question is not answered, I'm going to transfer to live agent, and then I'll switch back over to David here, and he can show the actual live agent piece of it.
So back where I was, so we can now see that has magically appeared. So Matt has transferred to a live agent. I am the only live agent monitoring the queue right now. So it's up for grabs. Now, if we had multiple agents logged in, it'd be, anyone would be able to allow or to grab it. But as soon as it's accepted, it's taken out of that queue. Okay. So I grabbed the conversation. You can see it is front and center here. Everything that we have or that the user has gone through getting to this point. So we see the entire conversation. We can also see that Matt has sent me a message. Oh, okay. Hello, one of the polling booths at the main Washington County voting site is malfunctioning. Oh, okay. Oh, well, so I'm going to answer him. I'm sorry to hear that. This is something I can help you with. Oh, spelling. Is the polling booth still usable? Or is it completely down? I'd like to know this because, you know, we want to know if there's going to be a workaround that we can put in place, or if this is going to have to be something that we need to get an agent out or a field agent out immediately to look at. Okay, so it's intermittently powering off and on. So that would indicate that it's likely completely down. It's really not something that we can use. Cool, so, okay, thank you for that. What's the tag number on the polling booth? The tag number is on the left-hand side of the monitor. Okay. So again, just gathering more information that I'm going to need for the ultimate incident that we end up creating for this and passing on to a field agent so that field agent can go take a look. ABC123, great. All right, great. I am going to create a ticket on your behalf. So we can get a technician out to look at the polling booth. This should only take a minute or two. Great, so now I'm going to go ahead and create an incident on this user's behalf. So we can see that there's already been an interaction created, right? So that happens automatically as soon as the conversation starts, an interaction record is created. So that interaction record just gets translated into an incident record when we go to create it. So very, very simple up here. We have a create incident, so that's where we're going to go. So we can see some things already got pushed in. So we know right now Matt is actually logged in as system administrator. So that came through automatically as the caller. This is an inquiry help. We are going to say that it's a self-service contact type. And we're going to put the new CI in. So it's ABC123. I didn't find it. So let me try a polling booth. There we go. Okay. So that's our CI. We're going to put in the short description here. Polling booth is down. Need assistance ASAP. All right, we're going to give it to our field services. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry, it may not be set up for that. So we're going to give it to the service desk and they can pass it to field services once they're done. Sort of like a tier 2 that we're passing it to. So that's our short description. We're going to go ahead and create the incident like this. Save. And that incident gets created. And so sort of the cool thing that happens here is that once the incident is created, it's going to, the user is going to know that that incident is created because they're going to get all the information immediately. Okay, so there's our new incident record. Okay, so I'm just going to tell him, I'm going to put the incident number in here. Oh, sorry. Oh, I apologize for that. Okay, incident number is INC 0010024. Right, so once I put the incident number in there and let that user know that his incident was created, you can see all of the details populated right here, along with the link so that user could go to that incident record and see the details on it. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to let them know the ticket has been created. Please feel free. Reach back out if you experience any other issues. A field tech should be on site soon. Okay. So at this point, I'll wait to hear from the user if the user is oh, great, thanks. Okay, cool. He's going to put up caution tape until it's resolved. That's perfect. Sounds great. Sounds great. Thank you, and have a great day. Okay, so that's our interaction. So from here, I mean, the user could obviously in the chat, and he likely will. Okay, so there the chat has been closed. But this shows you how easily, I mean, you know, a lot of people these days, it's difficult. Like they don't want to get on the phone and wait for a phone call. So virtual agent really fills a gap here, right? So it's really, really great for those users that need to quickly and maybe intermittently communicate with somebody, right? They have other things going on, but they can chat. And you can see that that's the same result that they would have gotten had they called, right? So it could have been that the FAQ could have helped that user and that we'd never have to get to the point of having an incident. But in this case, they did not have to interact on the phone. They were able to do it all through chat. And it's just a super easy tool to use that's part of the platform. Okay, I'm gonna pass it back to you, Matt.
And now we're into the questions and answers section. So feel free to throw your questions into the chat. And I think that Colleen's gonna read those out to us so we can take a look at them.
All right, thanks Matt and David for that demo. And all right, everyone, let's dive into some of your questions. The first question we have here, if I have the service portal and service catalog, what is the value add of virtual agent?
I can take that one. So I would say that virtual agent, you can look at as sort of the portal to your customer service in addition to your portal. But I would say it's kind of a funnel for all of the questions and the users that might have a variety of things that they need answered. Or in other cases, like if you were to do it for onboarding or for new users, a lot of times when you're brand new at a company, you might sit down at your desk and you have about 10 different things you need to set up. And there's always one person who knows what you're supposed to do, but you don't know who that person is. So you spend the first 2 hours of your career basically asking your boss questions about who's supposed to be helping you with what things. Something like this could be used for that as well, where you just have the answers to a lot of the basic onboarding questions or the first new employee questions, and take them through that process of question answer and get them to what they need, or it kind of empowers them to really find what they want, especially if you have something like the knowledge-based search set up, because a lot of times you might say all that information's in the knowledge base, but it's not as easy as just doing a keyword search and trying to find the articles that are relevant to you. Quick incident creation, quick transfer live agent. A lot of it is just to make that first experience with customer service conversational, rather than you, a lot of times in self-service, having to go out and figure out what you need to do. And it's kind of just, everyone for himself. This is a way to make that self-service process a conversation with either with a bot in some cases for virtual agent, or a conversation with an actual person who can help. And it just makes it a lot more accessible, makes all that information feel accessible to a customer.
Great, thanks, Matt. And here's another one. What part does AI play in virtual agent?
You want to take that, David, or?
Yeah, go ahead and take that one if you don't mind.
Okay. So I talked a little bit about the NLU, which is natural language understanding. This is a feature that can be turned on. We didn't for our demo But it's as simple as you go into the configuration and you say, I'm going to use NLU, and that's the beginning of it. And then as you get into the process, what you find is that you can kind of train it to understand what people are looking for when they type in things. So like with a basic keyword search, you saw my list of keywords. I could say if the user types FAQ, pop up the FAQ. But what if I want to say, if the user says, I have a lot of questions and I need answers, go to the FAQ. You're not going to get that from a keyword search. So you can train it to know based on what the user's intent was and based on what the user said, you can correlate those two things and teach the bot, this is where you need to go if these phrases are uttered. And then beyond that, as you train it, it starts to learn some of those patterns and to actually come up with the answer sometimes on its own. And as you use it, the more you use it, the more accurate it can become. And that's really where the AI piece of it comes in. You don't have to incorporate that immediately, but it can really be a boon to you later on in the process as you start to hone that customer service process.
Sounds good. All right. And here's another one we had come in. Does this work the same on mobile or desktop?
Yeah, generally. So, I mean, as a user, you're going to have an interface on your mobile device as well. If it's set up, if your instance is set up to display the mobile chat. So yeah, you can interact with it as a user as you would in the platform or in the portal. Now, I mean, obviously on the agent side, it's not the same, right? So the agent's still gonna interact either through the Fulfiller UI or the agent workspace. But yeah, as a user, you can definitely use mobile for this. It looks like chat.
Great. Thanks, David. We had another comment come in. I love GlideFast. Thank you, anonymous attendee. We love to hear it.
So do I.
I agree.
We agree.
Yeah.
That looks like about all we have for questions. So we'd like to move on to announce the winner of our $50 Visa gift card. And the winner is going to be Lynn White. Congratulations, Lynn. And we'll email you your prize directly. And that's going to wrap things up. So thank you for everyone for attending. We hope you enjoyed. Thanks, Matt and David, for presenting. If you have any more questions, feel free to tweet them to us or reach out to us at info@glidefast.com. To see more sessions, please visit our website. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.